I have a confession to make. I spend way too much time on build your own palette generators. They're absolutely the very slightly more adult version of the computer games I used to play, where I could like dress up Barbie, and they give me every bit as much joy as my Barbie Rapunzel PC game did when I was 7. I don't buy the palettes I make. I just enjoy creating interesting combinations of shades and imagining how I, or someone else who is more adventurous than me, could use them to create something beautiful. A few nights ago, I was playing on Makeup Geek's Create Your Own Palette feature, and I came up with a few palettes that I thought were really cute and that I wanted to share. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm not buying anything that I'm showing today, but I think it's still important to talk about prices. For $38, you get the 9 shades and a magnetized palette. The palette doesn't contain dividers, so although Makeup Geek shadows come in square pans, you could fit round or more oddly shaped pans in there as well. You can purchase all of these items individually, and it would come out to right about $60. Quick point here, if something you don't need would generally cost $60, but you managed to buy it for $38, you have not saved $22. You have spent $38. I got that off of my chest. We can move on to what everybody clicked on for, the palette porn. I'm calling this one the Peach Boys. I think it could be such an easy everyday palette for me, especially in spring and summer. I love this peachy pink shade in the top row. I think it could pull very pink or very peach depending on what colors I surrounded it with. That dark reddish brown in the lower right corner could also work with both warm and cool looks. I was really focused on making this palette wearable for me personally, and I am a makeup coward who wears neutrals at least half the time. So I also made sure that in addition to pink and peach looks, you could also go very neutral with an entirely beige brown look. I feel like this is almost a midpoint between like a ColourPop Baby's Got Peach and one of the Huda Nude 9-pan palettes, and I am here for that. On this halfway neutral, halfway colorful train, let's move on to the second palette I've put together. I'm calling this one Green Daze. Sensing a pattern? Don't worry, the puns are not going to get any better, so strap in, y'all. I feel that half neutral, half colorful palettes with green generally tend pretty warm. Melt is the first brand that I personally think of that really goes in on greens, and both 420 and Gemini really make use of a lot of warm and I see sort of swampy looks that those greens can give you. Subculture from ABH is another one in a similar vein. I decided to go much cooler with this. I think a cool, soft green look could be flattering on a huge variety of skin tones. I want to try lining my eyes with that deep, matte green in the bottom row. A subtle pop is definitely an oxymoron, but it'd be cute and unexpected. That shimmering green is such an interesting color, and I could see myself using that on days where I'm in a rush as a one shadow look, or with either that peach or the light brown matte in the crease or transition area. You could also make a pretty warm look with this palette by combining the bronze with the olive or peach mattes. It has probably changed pretty significantly, but I don't think that matters since I am not the important part of this video. What's over here is. So you've probably noticed that the palettes so far have tended towards pretty monochromatic looks. This palette, the Violet Femmes, does not introduce a new concept. As the name would suggest, this is a very red-violet based palette. In fact, the only shade that isn't red, pink, or purple is the almost white matte. I would use this to highlight my brow bone. When did that become less popular? I feel like I used to see that in every single tutorial on YouTube. And that was a step that I feel adds a lot to my looks, and I'll continue to do probably for a long time. It's been a while since I saw someone highlighting their brow in a tutorial. Is that just me? Okay, time to get back on track. The bottom left shade with the top center shade is already kind of an everyday look for me. I don't own any Makeup Geek eyeshadows, but my Wet n Wild Petalette palette, did I say that right? It's a tongue twister. Anyway, Wet n Wild's Purple Quad gives me a very similar look, and I've worn that minimum once a week for months. You can get quite a bit of depth from this palette too, both shimmery and matte, which I feel lends it a lot of versatility. Again, I want to say it's cute, but I've already said that word God knows how many times, and I'm going to start annoying myself. The last palette is probably very tame to some of you, but it is definitely outside of my comfort zone. Brace yourself. I'm calling this one the Blue Ice-ster cult. Don't worry, it's the last one. No, there's okay. So there's definitely a significant amount of blue in this palette, but it is not as monochromatic as the other mock-ups. I can picture just stunning looks with that shimmery blue all over the lid, maybe even deepening up the outer corner with the really deep blue matte. That matte beige brown transition shade would make this a lot more useful for me personally, but obviously it wouldn't be as helpful for someone of a deeper skin tone. You could get a neat red and purple look out of this. I've never tried that color combination before, but I see Just By the Makeup, Haley, I think that's her name. Pretty sure that's her name. Do them, and they are always gorgeous. My makeup fantasy self would use the heck out of this. I'm not sure my actual self would though, but I appreciate the color combination I came up with. Please tell me that you make these mock-ups too, so I don't feel like the odd one out. I hope you liked this video if you enjoyed it. Also, if you're interested in more content on budget beauty and fashion, and appreciating beautiful things without needing to purchase them, I hope you'll consider subscribing. See ya!